What's up, everybody? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, December 26, 2018. I hope everybody's doing well. Sorry for the little confusion with the start time of this live stream, but good to see we have some people here. Whether you're viewing live or replay viewer, really awesome announcement today. I'm going to read a quick little paragraph, and also there's a link in the description to the announcement on litecoinfoundation.org. We are excited to announce that Litecoin is the official cryptocurrency partner of UFC 232, Jones versus Gustafsson 2. This epic event, which features the highly anticipated main event rematch between former UFC light heavyweight champion John Jones against UFC light heavyweight Alexander Gustafsson, will take place this Saturday, December 29th at the Forum in Inglewood, California. Litecoin stepping into the octagon. The full article is in the description below. Click it, read it, get hype about it. So on this live stream, we have David Schwartz and John Kim. David Schwartz, project director. John Kim, you know, Satoshi-like bodyguard. Everybody knows John Kim. What's up, fellas?
Hey, how you doing, Dan? Where did John go? Oh, there he is.
So first off, I want to say, I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube, I cover news, we do technical analysis. Everybody knows how much I love Litecoin. Everybody knows how much I love Bitcoin. The two go hand in hand in such a beautiful way. But I want to, now that I have these two guys, these two gentlemen on the live stream with us, I do want to just highlight the value. If you're a Litecoin lover, the value that these two add to Litecoin, and as well the future of cryptocurrency. I have to highlight it right now. They do so much behind the scenes that so many people do not even notice. And I just want to, on this channel, just thank you guys for what you do. You're putting in that crazy groundwork efforts that I know takes a lot of dedication, passion, work. Sometimes it's easy to flip record, do a video, and post it, but you guys are behind the scenes, like making some real things happen. So thank you to you guys. And many people want to hear the story behind this, pretty epic partnership, right? Official cryptocurrency partner of UFC 232. So give us the breakdown, guys.
So John with his glasses. I think I'll go ahead and I'll start. So obviously people have been watching and noticing John. He's been connecting with various fighters within the UFC, most notably Ben Askren as of late, and just kind of forging some good friendships there going forward. Now those are on an individual basis, but they always play into the larger role of what's going on. And so John was good enough to get us both involved with Ben at the fights that happened in Milwaukee. And so we both went to that a couple weekends ago, and I had never been to one before. And so it was interesting to watch from a non-UFC person's perspective, that entire dynamic in the environment. And I was honestly sold by the end of it. So I remember the last fight, which was Al Iaquinta. And I probably slaughtered his name, but anyway, the fight, he was actually the underdog, and I was watching the fight, and I was like, by the time that fight came around, I've literally understood some of the strategies and the leverage that's needed, and the strength and endurance, and the audience that's involved is just straight up so similar to what the Litecoin community is like, in their rabid affinity for everything that happens within that environment and the outcomes. Every single fight, the fighters continue to show respect for each other throughout the entire thing, especially at the end. Even someone who would win, they would show respect to the other fighters. I think the one was John, helped me out, but the one guy was Jim Miller, I think, had been around for a long time, and he was fighting a younger guy and the younger guy had won. But after the fight, the younger guy was constantly drawing attention to Jim, who was the elder of the fighters. And just everything that went on there was just amazing. And so John brought me into this world, and it was really fun to watch. And then probably about a week or so earlier, I had started to have conversations with Ilir Gashi, who is new to the Litecoin Foundation as a community manager. And just, introducing ourselves to him, found out early on that he was involved in the parent company that owns the UFC. And so we were just starting to talk a little bit about that. And he has a relationship with some people that are on the UFC side of it. And so just asked if we could make some contacts there. And that just sort of evolved into a conversation that started the morning that I dropped John off at the airport as he was heading back home. And I dropped him off early enough that I was able to go to a local Starbucks for a couple of hours and start talking, because the manager's over in Europe, in London. And so by the time I left for work, we had already probably hammered out about 60% of the deal. And then over the course of the day leading up to lunch, by the time lunch was over with, we had 95% of the deal hammered out already. And it just came down to, smaller specifics that get involved. It's a contract, so there's things that go on. So it's never really fully done until the contract is signed. But everybody played some kind of a role in it in some capacity, from Ilir introducing to myself to John Eidson, who's the marketing director. He provided a lot of information. Charlie himself, lots of back and forth with him on that Monday, and then throughout the entire week. And then of course John too. So it was a nice group effort, but it happened so quickly and so easily, mostly because just as much as we're interested in going mainstream with adoption, the UFC is very interested in us and the cryptocurrency space in general. And it just seemed so symbiotic the way everything happened that everybody was very determined to make sure that this happened very quickly for the fight that was coming up, and to start harvesting some kind of a relationship that goes beyond UFC 232.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask that, like, how receptive, were they? And it sounds like they were pretty receptive and eager to do this as well.
Oh yeah, very, very, very much so. Without revealing the contact or anything, every time we spoke, he just kept mentioning how exciting this was, because we're breaking ground where nobody else has really gone before. People see UFC 232, they think of an event. Yeah, great, you're sponsoring an event, you're a partner for this one specific event, but it goes so much further than that. And I think everybody understood the brevity and how deep this can really go. And so it just made it even more exciting for everybody involved, including the UFC.
Yeah. And so what was the total? So how long did this take? This was like a month in the making, a couple months? Because I remember I seen you and John kind of, hanging around in the UFC type of
so let me tell you about John. John, I know he'll say he's a simple man with a simple plan, but the plan that he has, many times simple plans are the best plans, because you don't get a lot of clutter in the way. And so there's a lot of us who are able to understand and see where things need to go on a mass adoption level. And the UFC is not just an event, it's a string of events that reach out throughout the entire world. And John understands that. And those guys are in his wheelhouse, and he's able to relate to them in a level where, when I was watching him with Ben in Milwaukee, they're just sitting down and BSing and just very comfortable with each other. And it works out to the advantage, obviously, for the foundation, because John's involved with us and he knows where this is going. And everybody has their roles in it. And John's one of those guys, man. And once he gets his hook in you, you're done. So when he starts talking to guys, like Cormier and Askren and a few other guys, word's going to get spread around. So it became obvious that this is something that was going to go much further than just this event. When you have over 5 million people watch an average event from the UFC, and this is their second biggest fight for the year, you know you're going to get a lot of attention on that mat when guys are sprawled around, wrestling on it and doing whatever they're doing, and those logos are on the mat. They're going to talk about Litecoin right before one of the main events. It's a co-main event, so there's two of them. There's a women's championship, and then there's a fight between John Jones and Hermanson. And we'll see where it goes from here. But it was a great start. So I think the groundwork was laid well before some of these other events took place. And John was obviously a key part of that.
Definitely, John is massive energy for Litecoin. But so, and I'll pivot this next piece, I guess, to John, which is to say, like, we're going to have the Litecoin logo literally right in the middle of the canvas, right? In the middle of the mat, right?
No,
it's not in the middle of the mat. So, that GIF that Robbie from Litecoin Foundation created, is the logo going to be in the middle of the mat like it is in that?
Are you talking to me?
Well, either one of you.
Go ahead, David.
So it's a vector logo. So the thing is, they have the main logo that's in the middle of the mat, and then they have 8. So it's an octagon. So there's 8 other logos that are on the peripheral that are, larger logos, and then there's 8 vector logos that are beneath that within a line structure. And we get one of those vector logos that as they're rolling around, you'll see those. It's on the peripheral. I couldn't tell you exactly at what point on the mat it is at this juncture, but you'll see it when you actually watch the fights.
It's right on top of the main middle one. So it's like right on top. So it's not on the turnbuckles or anything like that, but it's at the right on top of the middle one. And since this is about crypto, you know how there's an old saying called "buy when there's blood in the streets"? Do you remember that, Dan?
I do.
Yeah. So after this event, people are gonna say "buy when there's blood on the mats," because Litecoin logo may have a lot of blood all up on it. So going back to the importance of this deal, right? Like, people don't understand UFC like I understand UFC. Even in Korea, so many people, like UFC is headline news over there. Japan, we're talking about global. So I tweeted something out today. There's 1.1 billion households that the UFC reaches. Okay, so I just cannot see any other partnership that would give us that much reach. For instance, this is not the NFL. NFL is American football. Okay, so UFC is a global phenomenon. It's almost like soccer. And the most popular athlete in the UFC is probably Conor McGregor, and he's from Ireland, and he has the whole country behind him whenever he fights. And Gustafsson, who's fighting John Jones, is from Sweden, and he's gonna have Sweden watching this fight to support him. So I'm a simple man, but I just know that how to reach the most amount of people, and I just believe that if you're not thinking global, then you're not really thinking at all at this point. So I believe this is bigger than NFL or NBA, because we're actually reaching global audience, and the whole mission of Litecoin is to be a global currency. The mission isn't to be a United States currency. Its mission is to be a currency of the world, global. So I just believe that what we did with UFC, it kind of spells out our mission as being the number one currency of the world.
Definitely. And you posted, and we are just talking about this before we went live, you posted this tweet, which gives like some really good stats into UFC and the demographic and stuff. One of them was So 37.8 is the median age of UFC fan base, which is between 4.8 and 12.1 years younger than all other major US professional sport leagues. And what's interesting about that is the fact that, I get demographic, reports on my YouTube videos for crypto. And that is almost exactly the median age for what seems to be the people most interested in cryptocurrency. And Eric Brown, who's CEO of Alliant Payment, he just tweeted a comment. He said, this is the demographic where crypto will be utilized first, and that is the entertainment industry. It's in our top 5 of Alliant Payment list of target industries. So you have like this demographic of age, which is very synergistic with UFC, and then you have this demographic of industry, which is also synergistic. So like, I guess those are just 2 things, but speak to either one of you. What do you think? What are some of the main strengths this could do for Litecoin in terms of Litecoin adoption and people getting on board with it?
Well, I think people don't really understand. Like, whenever I go push for adoption, everybody DMs me and wants to hit a home run. They want to get the big companies, Google, Amazon. I'm like, no, bro, it's not going to happen that way. You chip away at the wood at a big tree, and you keep chipping it away, and at some point it's going to fall, right? So I think the visibility, number one, of awareness. Like, people don't know what awareness is. Awareness is, if they see a Litecoin logo at the mat on the UFC, people are going to be like, what's that? That's a good thing. It'll be millions of people for the first time seeing this logo and name and saying, what is that? And that's called bringing step 1 and bringing awareness to people who has never seen that sign or that name before. And I think we may even, be up there in a Google search after the UFC or during the UFC. And I want David to tell everyone, like, they're going to actually announce Litecoin at the fights at one of the championship. So David, which fight are they going to? It's Bruce Buffer. You guys know Bruce Buffer, right? It's time. That guy. That guy's gonna shield Litecoin for David. Can you let them know which fight they're going to announce that at?
Yeah, so that's the Cyborg Nunez fight. So it's the female championship fight. Right before that, Bruce Buffer is going to announce Litecoin through the microphone on the ring, in the ring there, and so that was part of the partnership deal. And I agree with John on the part, the more often that you see the logo. I think the average is if you see a logo between 3 to 5 times, then it starts to become familiar within your brain, and as you adjust to that, then when you see it in a services type of manner, then you're more apt to be open to trying it or looking at it deeper. So the more often you have the name out there, the more often it becomes ingrained in people's brains. And like John said, they're probably going to be searching through the matches itself to see what in the world Litecoin is. Even when we were there, we were sitting in the crowd. I ended up getting in a discussion with a guy who was an owner of some stores in Milwaukee, and he was talking. The only thing he really knew about cryptocurrencies were all the bad things. So he talked about the volatility. He talked about using it for nefarious purposes, and anything that he had heard in the regular tabloids, the regular mainstream media. So we started discussing other things other than price. And, by the end of it, he's like, hey, I want to talk to you some more. Give me your card. So I ended up giving him my card. Those are the types of interactions that John's talking about. It's not a home run in the sense that it's a large corporation, but those are the kinds of people that are going to end up spreading the word. And when you have people watching this match and they're looking at Litecoin and they go, what in the world is that? And perhaps somebody next to them goes, oh, I've heard of that before. It's a cryptocurrency. Next thing you know, they're talking about it. And really, that's the end goal, at least for this one specific event.
Let me talk about Ben Askren too, right? Ben Askren was on Joe Rogan, and it's got like 2.2 million views, right? This guy, from Instagram to Twitter, he's close to like, I think, 500,000 followers, right? But the great thing about Ben Askren, we didn't pay him to say anything. Not like some of these fighters that are getting paid by Dash or Bcash, and they're actually not even really interested in the crypto or changing the world, but they're getting paid, so they're announcing it, right? So Ben, it was all organic. We found out, this guy named Adam Charles found out for me that he was following Charlie Lee on Twitter, and I was like, oh shoot, it's all now. And then I started hunting him down. He kept ignoring me, and I kept emailing, and I'm a hunting. You know, once I bite, I don't let go. You know what I mean? I ain't letting go. And then finally he responded, and then this was, I think, a month or two ago, and I went to go see him, and he was, look, after the fight, he took me in his Tesla X model, and I was in the car with UFC heavyweight, lightweight champion Daniel Cormier in the front seat. I was in the back, just rolling, you know, in his car. It was like unreal to be in the car with like champs, and Ben was just, he was just wanting to promote Litecoin and crypto because he's libertarian at leaning, and he really wants to see the end of Fed and see the freedom of money. And so the great thing about what we have with Ben Askren is not we paid him to say something, but it's organically where he really wants to see Litecoin and cryptocurrency succeed. And he's literally, you're gonna, hey, his March is March 2nd, okay? His fight is March 2nd. You're gonna see him on interviews asking Dana White that he wants to get paid in Litecoin. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. Organic, we're not pushing you, we're not paying you to do stuff like that, but from his heart, he really wants to help further the crypto revolution.
Yeah, and this is from the Litecoin Foundation article as well. It says, with UFC events like this receiving millions of viewers, having the Litecoin logo displayed on the Octagon's canvas gives LTC global awareness that can spark interest and drive engagement with people from all walks of life who may have never heard of Litecoin or cryptocurrency before. So we're talking, John, from your post, programming for UFC reaches over 1.1 billion households in 180 countries. So that's kind of just to give a little glimpse of how big this is in terms of eyes that could potentially be on Litecoin, correct?
How many countries?
180.
You know what? Nobody knows who Patrick Mahomes is in India. Nobody cares who Patrick Mahomes is in Japan. All right. But there's 180 countries that are tuning into UFC, and they're going to see the best cryptocurrency logo all up in their face as the fighter's getting pounded. Litecoin just going to be just sitting there on the mat, just taking it, and showing people what the future is all about. It's going to be like the symbol of Batman in the future.
I like it. I like that. So what do you, I'm just curious of your guys' opinion in terms of, like, especially you two, right? You've fought for this partnership, and what is that thing that connects crypto with things like UFC, right? UFC, the fighter's mentality, the never give up mentality. Why is it that people with that mentality, the entrepreneurs of the world that keep failing but keep trying, things of that nature, what is it about cryptocurrency, do you think, Litecoin in particular, if you will, that attracts these type of people, these fighter mentality type of people like you, John?
See, when I first started training, it was 2007, 2008. That's when I started MMA. But back then, bro, UFC wasn't big at all. It was like if you were a fighter, you were just this dumb guy who didn't have anything else to do. And I remember I was trying to fight in the King of the Cage, and it was like an outdoor event with a small little cage, and we had to sell the tickets ourselves. You know what I mean? So, I mean, but the passion and the obsession of UFC was so great that a few years later, it got sold for $4 billion, which they bought for like $100 million. So if you look at $100 million to $4 billion, $4.5 billion, I think they did very well and not giving up and continuing to press forward when everyone, even the state and the government, was against them, right? Is this the story of crypto or not? Is this the story of crypto or not? You keep taking the hits and you keep getting up and you keep going forward. And what happens if I tell you that in the future, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, Litecoin will be considered world currency and it could be valued at $4 trillion? Is that a possibility? I think so, because if you look at UFC's value at $100 million when they bought UFC, and then now it's estimated they're worth $8 billion. You know, so I just think that this is a great story of some a sport that has been written off. People are saying it was like cage fighting, like a dog, you know, but you know, it's become a legitimate sport, and it's the fastest growing sport in the world. So I just believe that we have a lot in common with Litecoin.
Yeah, so similar to UFC in its infancy, Litecoin kind of there as well right now. And you know, I think about this is the beginning, right? When you know that type of you see a commercial for the first time, I think of GoDaddy, like something like GoDaddy, right? When they first just blasted their marketing campaign a long time ago, I was like, what's GoDaddy? And then just kept commercial after commercial, and then they just blew up, right? I feel like that's kind of what's gonna start happening for Litecoin, is like, what is that? Like, what is this new tech? What is this? And then 10 years from now, right? When you look back at GoDaddy's days, it's gonna be the same thing for Litecoin in 10 years from now when this type of thing starts happening, right?
And also I've made a lot of traction with Joe Rogan. At first, it was just something that I said, this is my dream. I want Charlie on Joe Rogan, da, da, da. But every day I'm chipping at it, and we're getting a little bit closer and closer. So I'm telling you right now, 2019, if I have anything to do with it, I will not sleep. I will not eat until Charlie Lee is on Joe Rogan podcast. And I guarantee you that it will happen if I have something to do with it. And Ben Askren will help me.
Well, somebody just mentioned that in the comments, mentioning Charlie Lee on Joe Rogan. And I feel like even now, this is like a stepping stone. Obviously, Joe Rogan.
So Joe Rogan is aware of Charlie now, because Ben Askren actually texted him and said, "Hey, have you heard of this guy?" And he said, "I'll keep my eye." He said, "Joe Rogan said I'll keep my eye on him." So we made a big. At least now we're in contact. He's aware who Charlie Lee is. So I think 2019 is going to happen. And
not to cut you off, John, but we have right now just entered in the house the master of Litecoin education, the master of the Light School, our main man, our main teacher, eCurrency Hodler in the house. What's up, dude?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Dude, it's been a while since we did a live show together.
It has. It's like the family has reunited. So you see all the buzz, E, about what's going on with this. I guess I just kind of want to hear your thoughts about this.
Dude, I'm stoked. Like, this is, the UFC is a huge platform, millions of viewers. So I think it's going to be awesome. I'm stoked.
He's stoked, everybody. He's stoked. It's definitely, obviously, a huge stepping stone for Litecoin, and I think very unexpected for most of the people out there. I see the comments. There's some comments, people hearing about this for the first time, very excited. So, and John has his shirt showing. John, say something.
Uh-oh.
His shirt, if you can't see, his shirt says "Take back control of your money," right? So tell us about those shirts.
So
such a solid slogan.
I mean, I can't say who came up with the slogan, David, but David actually came up with the slogan, and me, Charlie, David, and John, we're all going to be at the UFC event, wearing this shirt, representing, and Charlie wanted to get a black shirt because we were very scared that at our VIP sitting we could get blood on our white shirt. So we decided to go. We're 100% serious. We're worried that if we had a white Litecoin shirt, blood would be splattered, and all of our shirt would be ruined. So we decided to go with the black shirt. What do you guys think?
It looks sick, dude. That's a nice shirt.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought white was a good idea.
I mean, does that happen? Like, could that potentially happen?
Yeah, definitely happens.
Yeah.
I think that would actually be really cool. I think you should actually get white shirts for that very reason.
You know what? We'll just splash some red paint on it and act like we got all splattered, and then we'll record it.
That's
like
a good content. Hey guys, stay tuned though. You guys got to watch UFC because they're gonna mention Litecoin. We're gonna have the logo on there. You might even see me, Charlie, and David and John maybe in the front row. Maybe the camera will catch us, and then we just do our little Litecoin thing, and you might even catch us there. So tune in and get that pay-per-view, or if you don't have money, Buffalo Wild Wings or Hooters.
Yo,
So,
David. So
Yeah.
did you speak at all to like how this deal came about? Like, what was that process like?
Yeah, man, you missed it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You missed it already.
Sorry,
You have to go back and watch
I
it.
asked that question. I will.
No, it's okay. There's more. There's people watching now. It was just if you want the Reader's Digest version of it, basically, Ilir Gashi, who's the community manager, just we met and talked a little bit, and then he gave me the name of the global sales manager over at the UFC, and then him and I just started talking, and by the time we hit lunch on day one, we basically had a deal ironed out.
Dang, dude. So you sealed the deal, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty fun, but it didn't really hit home until after I saw the contract actually signed, and then was on the way home, and I was like, yeah, then it was like, this is pretty awesome. You couldn't get the smile off my face after that. So
So for all you people who are watching, if you didn't know, Dash, my man right here, is the director of partnerships. They're paying you the big bucks, and this is why you sealing deals, you closing deals, you setting things up, putting things into motion, baby.
Hey, I know that guy. He's my mentor, y'all. Hey, 382 people watching. I want you guys to know I know Dave personally. He's like my mentor and my friend. So I'm cool just by association.
Don't forget about me. Don't forget about me when you make it big, Dash.
you know what's funny is I was reading the feed. I was reading the chat, and one guy's on there going, "Who's the dude with the glasses?" I was like, "That's perfect. That's like
they don't even know. They don't even know."
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's because you're kind of like behind the scenes kind of guy. You don't really like ask for the spotlight too much, but you do work, man.
Yeah, that's kind of
we gotta
function.
We gotta have you. That's why we gotta have you guys on more often, because I said at the beginning of the channel, you guys are putting in the work right on the ground, and you're talking to the people. You're pounding the doors, right, and you're making things happen. This partnership is very exciting and very cool. I know there was something else that we were going to talk about, right? You guys wanted to kind of to mention. It wasn't, it's not in the thumbnail or anything, but go ahead.
So there were a couple things going on. Well, one of the other ones was Blake Rizzo. I don't know if many of you know him, but he works with Tour de Crypto. Yeah. He's the attorney. He's now a Litecoin Foundation volunteer. So that was to us, that was like a nice free agent pickup with him, because he's got a lot of experience in the space as well as being in the regular legal world. So he actually had eyes on the contract before it got signed as well. So we put him to work immediately. So that was a nice addition. Yeah, and then also Litecoin has a legitimate bank account in the United States now, which is a big deal. We can use that for operational needs, and so that's something that's been in the works for a little bit as well. So that was actually quite a big deal in itself also. So we're very happy about that.
Yeah, I can finally get my ebook out on Amazon. People can pay with US dollars.
Yeah. And also, we have a lot more planned in 2019, guys. We just can't talk about it, but it's going to be a year of like straight up execution. The reason I like like David and Dan, eCurrency, the whole Litecoin Foundation, is that like I know what I'm good at is I start fires, and I'm not good at anything else after that. I just
Oh, stop
after
it,
I
John.
no, really, I start the fire and I give it to Dash. I say, hey Dash, hey, the fire started. So what? Hey, what's our line, David? I hook him.
You hook them, I reel them. Yeah.
Hey, John, though, but I want to see Charlie on Joe Rogan, man. That's on you.
It
I'm
will
a
be.
believer. I'm a believer. You
Hey,
made me into a
hey,
believer, so
hey, have I
volunteer for
said
me, baby.
something that did not come to pass? Okay, it will come to pass sooner or later. I'm just a little bit off on timing, but if I spit it out, trust me, I'm working behind the scenes to
I believe you.
make every single day.
I believe you. Yeah, I mean, you got what? You reached out to Ben, the UFC guy, and then you even got like, you reached out to the NASCAR guy, dude. You're putting in work too, John.
And I made Pump follow me. Do you see
You
how I
made him.
pumped him? I said, you better follow me. He said, yes, sir. I'm kidding. Oh, David, talk to them about the Litecoin Summit. Just kind of a little bit of a taste of
Yeah,
what
so
the Litecoin Summit.
I won't tell you the location yet, but the dates are October 28th and the 29th. We've already started recruiting speakers. Two of those, obviously, were two that were just mentioned. There's a NASCAR driver, Landon Castle. He will be coming. He finishes a race that Sunday, the 27th, and then he'll be coming to the summit. Ben Askren is pretty much a lock for that as well. There's a couple other. So one of the cool things we're going to have on this one that we didn't have last year, I don't think anybody else necessarily has had at this point, is once again looking at the mass adoption. And for me personally, I believe that in order to forward mass adoption, you have to not just be noticed in people's minds, you have to be noticed in their hearts. And so sports is very dear to a lot of people. So we're going to have actually a panel that's going to have multiple sports figures from various sports on a panel talking about how they got into crypto, why crypto is important to them, why they like Litecoin. And Landon, I've been talking to Landon. He actually has some good ideas to be creative for that panel that I think people will like. So I don't want to give away too much, but there's also people on crypto Twitter that you're all very familiar with that I've been speaking with already, who are pretty much a go on speaking. And so once you see their names, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. But I'm very excited for this one because, I'm very excited about this one because it's butting up against some other fun events within that area where we're having it. And so it's going to be it's going to be more like a crypto week versus a specific thing. I'm trying not to give away too much. This is actually going to be a fun summit.
Guys,
I mean, if you went to last year's,
be there.
Yeah, and there actually the Litecoin family is going to have a role to play.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you how, but the Litecoin family will have a role to play. Yeah.
How about the East Coast team? Do you think they will have a little part in this? Okay, just saying.
Yeah.
Hey,
so I'm pretty excited.
Bitcoin Ben is on here. Hey, Bitcoin Ben. I got something for you too. Mr. Bitcoin Ben.
Read his comments
in the chat.
He says, I'm flying out to do a show with guys who does comedy with Joe Rogan. I'm going to try to see one of Joe's sets and talk to him about Charlie Lee. Woo! That's right. We all working together.
Nice.
He's going to be Litecoin bet soon.
Hashtag inevitable. Hashtag Joe Rogan inevitable. Charlie Lee, it's on.
I love how grassroots it is.
So David, what is it? What is it about Litecoin, UFC, all these other guys you mentioned? What is it about Litecoin that's making them so keen on getting on board? What is it?
Well, I think when you're talking about Ben specifically, Ben Askren, and a few others, they, to be a fighter, you really have to go against the grain and not necessarily listen to anybody else. And so when you listen to Ben Askren talk, the guy is totally into, like John said, he's a libertarian. He's somebody who, you know, wants the freedom to be able to spend his money how he feels it's fit to be spent. He doesn't want somebody else telling him, sorry, you can't have your money today because it's Saturday, or nope, you've already had too many. You know, last week, I literally could not move some money from my savings to my checking account because I had gone over 6 transfers online in a month. And so they froze it and they wouldn't let me transfer it. So my wife was standing in a grocery store with not enough money in the bank account because they wouldn't let me I had to physically drive to the closest bank and then go up to the counter, tell them to move the money from my savings to my checking physically before they would do it.
That's terrible.
So these are the kinds of things where Ben and others, where they are seeing what Litecoin is and what it does and what it stands for, and they believe in that. And if you don't believe in it, the only other way you're going to do it is if you're getting paid for it. And these guys are doing it literally because they believe in it. And that, I think that's the beauty of Litecoin. So many, I mean, think about all the exchanges and all the wallets and everything else that it's on. Other coins and currencies have to pay to get on there. And Litecoin is the coin that gets put on there because it's the right type of thing to do. No one's ever paid for that. So you explain to me how Bcash and all these other ones, I'm not going to name any other ones, but I'm being Bcash specifically because well, that's a different stream. I stream all together, but when you have to pay, when you have to pay to get noticed, that's like the kid who stomps in the corner and has a tantrum to get noticed, right? When you just stand there and people notice you when you walk into a room because you have that kind of a presence, that's what Litecoin is like. And they notice that and they realize that, and that's why they back it.
And another thing is, you know, even though, you know, we have Charlie Lee as the creator and he's kind of directing the ship right now, even though his plan is to remove himself to make Litecoin more decentralized. Man, he's got 96% real followers out of 801,000 people that are following him. So I got to give props to Charlie. Whenever I go somewhere and meet Ben or meet Landon or wherever I go, like people automatically embrace me because I'm with Charlie Lee. You know what I mean? So that's a huge thing for me when I'm talking to people, that I actually get welcomed because I'm affiliated with Charlie Lee and the Litecoin Foundation, which gives me a better way of presenting to them, you know, what our goal is and developing a friendship. Because I don't care what anyone says, so many people respect Charlie Lee, you know, and especially after that tweet about if you're not, you know, if you can't stomach 90% drop almost to 20 LTC and Bcash flattening, just all this stuff that he tried to warn the people about and actually does come true. And I think a lot of the sentiments right now are changing, that Charlie really was trying to do the right thing and warn people during the bull market. So I'm more happy that we had a bear market because it gave me a reason to love and to like Litecoin even more on a deeper level, because I actually sweat. I actually put in the work. So one Litecoin means so much more to me than it was 6-7 months ago when it was just something that was going to make me some money. So overall, I appreciate this bear market. It's like a blessing in disguise, because I know if you're smart, your quantity became, you know, more, and your dollar cost average went down. And Charlie Lee, the sentiment about what Charlie did is slowly reversing to where people are going to really pay attention to what he says in the future.
Agreed. Jim Flanagan just super chatted. Thanks, Jim. He said, Litecoin is the right coin. Litecoin fam are the best people in crypto. And like, I think, I don't know what it is. It's what originally really attracted me to Litecoin was, I know Charlie doesn't like to be called the leader of Litecoin, but you know, obviously he's definitely influential of Litecoin for obvious reasons. And there is that integrity that I noticed. And for whatever reason, Litecoin, I've seen the community, especially in the last year, grow organically with so many like-minded people that are just full of like this genuine passion, integrity. And it really is. I agree with Jim. I feel like it is the best, one of the best cryptocurrency communities, just because of the people that have come together in such a cool way.
And we're actually meeting face to face. This is not an internet friendship. You know what I mean? I spent the night at David's house last week, woke up, ate breakfast with his family, and played freaking games and watched a movie, you know, with his family. I met with most of my East Coast team, and I eat pizza with them. We joke around. We make videos of being robbed together. I mean, it's a real community because I'm making it a huge effort to really meet people and look them in the eyes and say, hey, this is the real community, because I believe a true friendship and community is 100%. 50% is online, and it only becomes complete when you meet in person and able to look them in the eyes and say, hey, nice to meet you. And I've met you, Dan. I met eCurrency Hodler. I met Dave, and I met most of the East Coast team. And I can say we have the most proactive, passionate, obsessed community in crypto.
Well, I have. So like Litecoin Lisa Davis just said, John stayed with us for a week. Right below her is Bitcoin Ben, who I know you've met. Right right above them is Rob on East Coast team. You've met basically half the people in the live chat right now.
Have to. If it's a real community, you have to meet face to face.
I agree. I was just with E, 2-3 weeks ago. E, we met up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
West Coast. Yes.
That's right, man. And
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are, we talk about that bear market, right? And I talk about a lot on the channel, which is, because I recruit in the crypto space, working with crypto startups. Behind the scenes, everybody, I can't tell you enough. And here are just a few faces of this. Building. People are building. Price doesn't always need to reflect the good things right away, immediately. But I can tell you the building reflects the foundation that's being built. And right here on the screen, you have 3 builders in front of you. And this is one example of it, right? This UFC partnership and UFC deal. So any final words? John obviously has something to say. Go ahead, John.
Real quick, I just wanted to make something clear real quick, David. This is important, that this is a sponsorship of the UFC for the UFC 232 event. It's not like a partnership, an ongoing partnership. This is a sponsorship event, but we are planning to make this a deeper, longer relationship in the future. So this is like, I think David can add to that, but I just wanted to make this clear so people doesn't think that it's more than what it is. So
Yeah, I would say this is like the appetizer before the real meal.
okay.
So yeah, I would agree. This is a sponsorship / partnership for this specific event, but the intentions of everybody involved, including the UFC, is to make this much, much more. And at least from my perspective, and we've talked about this on the Slack channel where we were preparing this announcement and the deal, that this UFC deal is something that opens the doors to a lot of other options in 2019. I believe 2019, like John said, is going to be a very, very busy, successful year for Litecoin. And this deal, just for this specific event, is basically like opening the door to that. So as excited as we are about this, if we take it in the full scope and look at it from its completeness, this is literally like the tip of the iceberg.
Agreed. I think E just fell off.
Yeah, he just dropped off. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and as you guys are continuing to make moves in these types of deals, I definitely want to have you guys on the channel more often. I think it's important, especially in these bear market times, to really get a sense of what is going on behind the scenes in terms of Litecoin and the building of Litecoin. But yes, so to make it clear, official cryptocurrency partner of UFC 232. But as the article states on Litecoin Foundation website, hopefully the beginning of a long and fruitful relationship with UFC, which I think that's in the makings right now.
So, hey, I want to do this little thing that you do all the time. Press 1 if you do this. Press 2 if you do this. Can we see how many people press 1 if you're actually going to tune in to the fight the UFC 232 this Saturday?
Let's see. Press 2 if you're not.
Press 1 if you're watching. Press 2 if you're not.
Press 3 if you're going to actually physically be there so that we can meet you.
Oh, hey. Also, if you're going to be at the event, please DM me so that we can a little
That's a whole lot of ones.
during the prelims.
That is a lot of ones flying through the screen.
Oh, look at that.
UFC.
Just blow up, man.
Yep.
Wow.
So
I want to
that's
see
cool.
some threes, man. I want to meet some more people.
We have a couple of
Nakamoto
threes.
Unity. I gave a shout out to my boy Action. Action, who made that music video. Nakamoto Unity. So
all right, sweet. So we definitely have a lot of people watching. I think I even saw 3 fly by. So like I said, or like John said, go message him, DM John Kim on Twitter, connect with him. So very exciting, guys. You know what? I appreciate you two so much. I know we're going on an hour, so we'll end it here. But you guys, man, you guys are awesome. Appreciate you hanging out.
Thanks, you too, Dan. Yeah, I appreciate you having the live stream on the same day that this comes out. I think that's really important, and I appreciate you asking us to be on.
Of course, many more to come, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You guys, either one of you have any final words that you would like to leave with?
yeah, give me 1 second.
Oh, hey, if I can go back for a second to talk about one of the other reasons was, I know we already talked about Charlie, but I want people to understand how well respected Charlie is within the space. I've had people ask me for Charlie to come and speak at events, and sometimes I'll ask them, why specifically do you want Charlie? You know, I mean, it runs the gamut of reasons, but the one that stuck out to me was one guy was telling me, the reason I want Charlie to come and speak is because nobody else has a group as large as he does who literally leaves the room after he's done speaking. So when he's done speaking, he leaves the room, people follow. They literally leave the room to either go talk to him because they're just drawn to him, or because they're really not interested in anybody else that comes on after him. So, I mean, what does that tell you about the guy? That is a huge reason why I got into Litecoin, other than just the obvious reasons with the technology. But, you know, he's a man of integrity, and he's a man who wants to try and do the right thing. And it goes all the way through the foundation and how he does things. And I think if people can understand that what he honestly did with the selling of his Litecoin was really for a good reason. It was for no other reason than it was the right thing to do. So that's it.
Perfect. I'm trying to get him to come over here. He's gonna say hi. I got a guest. Give me 1 second. He's not here.
Must be his son.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
I just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you to all my supporters, and enjoy the news. And 2019, we will win. Thank you, Charlie. See you later. He's gonna stop by my room. He's my roommate. So, did you guys hear what he had to say?
We heard him, man. Loud and clear.
All
Loud
right,
and clear.
Bullish 2019, baby.
Bullish 2019. Heck yeah. All right, fellas. Well, listen, everybody, thank you so much for coming by. That is it. Link in the description if you want to read a Litecoin Foundation sponsoring this event, UFC 232, December 29th. Everybody, super chatters, subscribers, people that tuned in, thank you so much for coming by. Thank you to these two, David Schwartz, John Kim, 2 friends, 2 really awesome guys, innovators in the space, builders in the space, 2 people I really respect highly. Love you guys. Thank you for coming by. As always, everybody, I will see you all in the next video. Have an awesome night, and God bless.